Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
I am Tom.
It's our festival unit, and this month, we're going off to Vietnam, you could say. We've got the Mid-Autumn Festival here in Asia. A lot of countries celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival. It's a big part of Asian culture. But we're going to kind of focus on Vietnam this time, a close neighbor. I love the food there, that's for sure. I haven't been there myself. You've probably been to Vietnam, though.
Oh, no. I've flown over it before on the way to Thailand, but I've never actually been to Vietnam before. And, of course, there are lots of lovely Vietnamese people who live and work here in Taiwan.
Yes.
So a lot of times they do open Vietnamese restaurants, and you can go sample some of their delicious food. But today we're talking about a tradition in Vietnam called the Mid-Autumn Festival, which is celebrated in pretty much every Asian country there is. But Vietnam's version of the Mid-Autumn Festival is special, and that's why we want to talk about it today.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So we're going to get started by doing what we always do. We're going to read through the article, and then we'll be back to talk about Mid-Autumn Festival in Vietnam.
The Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated in many parts of Asia, including Taiwan, China, Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam. Of these, Vietnam stands out from the crowd with its distinct way of celebrating the festival. The country has a rich heritage of ancient legends and beliefs about the festival that have been passed down from generation to generation. One of the most beloved stories surrounding Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival is that of Jew Goy, a man who stumbled upon a mystical Bodhi tree while collecting firewood. Jew Goy utilized the leaves of this enchanted tree to heal the sick, saving countless lives. One day, the tree abruptly soared up into the sky to the Moon Palace, taking Jew Goy with it. Ever since then, Vietnamese people have commemorated him every Mid-Autumn Festival by lighting lanterns. They believe Jew Goy's spirit returns to Earth on the night of the festival, and they light lanterns and offer fruit and cakes to welcome him back. In addition to this traditional myth, lanterns are an essential part of Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival. In ancient times, busy adults who had been focused on the harvest would take lanterns and spend time with their children, creating a festival devoted to kids. Today, the holiday is commonly referred to as Children's Day in Vietnam. On the night of the full moon, children participate in a lantern parade featuring an array of delightful lanterns in all shapes and sizes. People believe these lanterns scare away evil spirits and bring good luck. While the rituals of the Mid-Autumn Festival may differ depending on the region, the atmosphere of Vietnam's celebration is similar to that of other countries. It's a time of unity where people come together with their loved ones to celebrate and cherish the importance of family reunions. Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of today's lesson. It's our unit on festivals, and we're talking about Mid-Autumn Festival. I think you know pretty much about Mid-Autumn Festival here in Taiwan. We don't really need to talk about it too much because you're already familiar with it. So let's talk about Mid-Autumn Festival in Vietnam. Now here the title says Lanterns, Legends, and Lively Celebrations, Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival. This is a clever title here because we've got 3 L words there, which make the title sound very interesting. Lanterns and legends and lively celebrations. And that, of course, can attract the reader into looking at the article and learning about it.
Yeah, that's a fun way to write a title, is to have the same sound or the same letter begin all the words. If you can do it, it's kind of fun. So let's take a look at the first paragraph. It says the Mid-Autumn Festival is celebrated in many parts of Asia. And we're going to, of course, include Taiwan, where we live, China, Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam. Of these, we should mention, Tom, before we go any further, some people say Vietnam.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I don't like how that sounds, so I never said it that way. I always say Vietnam. But you will hear people say Vietnam like that, so be prepared. Of these, Vietnam stands out from the crowd. If you stand out from the crowd, you're noticeable. People look at you. Usually you stand out from the crowd because you're really tall or maybe there's something unusual about you, so people will focus on you. Everyone kind of looks the same in a crowd, usually. So if you're wanting to stand out, you probably want to wear some crazy-looking clothes. Dye your hair a funny color. That's popular right now. But the country of Vietnam stands out from the crowd of just Asian countries in general because it has a very distinct way of celebrating the festival. If something's distinct, it's very unique. Not everybody has it. And if you see it, you recognize that it's different from other things of a similar nature or a similar type.
Right, and of course, we could use this word to talk about people's accents, for example. I know a guy from Mississippi who's got a distinct southern accent.
Yeah.
So that, of course, is unique. It's very special. And Vietnam has a distinct or unique or special way of celebrating Mid-Autumn Festival. I should also mention when we're talking about Vietnam, the adjective for it is Vietnamese. So you may know Vietnamese people here in Taiwan, or you may have eaten Vietnamese food before, but Vietnam is the country. And Vietnam has a rich heritage of ancient legends and beliefs about the festival that have been passed down from generation to generation. And generation just refers to people who are generally of the same age. So we're talking about older people passing down these traditions to younger people, and they keep those traditions alive.
Yeah, we pass a lot of things down, don't we, in our culture? Of course, I'm thinking of recipes, family recipes that are passed down from generation to generation. And you hope you don't lose some of those really tasty dishes that your grandma cooked or your great aunts. I'm thinking in particular of my great aunts. I don't have a couple of their recipes, and my sisters and I are all kind of sad about that. So make sure that you don't let any part of your culture and your family traditions disappear. Make sure that they get passed down carefully from generation to generation.
Right, so they have different ways of celebrating this festival and probably different kinds of food that go with the festival. But we're going to talk about a story involving this particular festival. So here in the next paragraph it says, one of the most beloved stories, or one of the most beloved stories surrounding Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival is that of Jew Goy, a man who stumbled upon a mystical Bodhi tree while collecting firewood. Now, I've never studied Vietnamese before, so I had to look this up online. It was very difficult to find how to pronounce this, so please forgive me if I've butchered your language.
Yeah.
But what I heard through some YouTube videos sounded like Jew Goy. So I hope I got that right. And this is a man, and he stumbled upon a mystical Bodhi tree. Bodhi, of course, is a holy tree to Buddhists, and it's a mystical kind of tree, sort of magical, kind of spiritual, and he just came upon it. He wasn't looking for it. He just found this tree, and he found this tree while he was collecting firewood. Of course, sometimes you go out in the forest looking for wood so you can take it back home and burn it to produce heat or to cook food.
If it's an enchanted tree, or anything that's described as being enchanted, it means it's magical. It's got some sort of magical powers. So we don't know yet, as we're looking at this story, what sort of magical powers the tree has. But it's enchanted, and it helps to heal the sick, and it saved countless lives. So many, you can't even keep track of how many. Countless. It's hard to know exactly how many. So moving on to this story, it says one day the tree abruptly or suddenly, without warning, soared up into the sky to the moon palace, and it took Jew Goy with it. So if a tree suddenly soars to the sky, that is a little weird, definitely magical. To soar, we use this word when we're going up into the sky. Maybe a bird is soaring up high. So you're flying or you're rising high in the air if you're soaring. Or sometimes we use it to talk about our emotions. Maybe you see a good friend after being separated for 10 years and, oh, your heart just soared when you saw your good friend. So we use it that way. And sometimes we talk about prices of things soaring or going up so fast that it's become quite expensive.
Right, so this is kind of similar to the Chinese story where Chang'e soared up into the sky and went to the moon. And in this particular case, the Vietnamese guy here, the version of the Vietnamese involves Jew Goy, and he soared up into the sky and went to the moon palace. And of course, the tree is what went.
Yeah,
and,
the tree went.
Jew Goy went with the tree. And ever since then, Vietnamese people have commemorated him every Mid-Autumn Festival by lighting lanterns. And if you commemorate something, you basically celebrate something. You show respect for that thing, and you make sure you remember that. So, of course, you can commemorate all sorts of things. And sometimes, of course, if there's a special kind of event, like a sporting event or something, they may issue commemorative coins that you can buy for a certain price, and maybe in the future you can sell them at a profit. So you're going to commemorate or celebrate something, and yes, indeed, they celebrate it by lighting lanterns, and lanterns are very cute. They're lit up probably with candles or whatever, similar to how lanterns are lit up here during Yuan Xiao Festival.
Yeah, the following is more similar to what we're used to here in Taiwan, at least. And the Vietnamese, at least, believe that Jew Goy's spirit returns to Earth. Remember, he's up there at the Moon Palace where the tree took him. His spirit returns to Earth on the night of the festival. And that's when they light lanterns like we do here. And they also offer fruit and cakes to welcome him back. Maybe they also put up the tables that we see here in Taiwan with the food that's offered to the gods, or the money that is burned and offered to whomever. So, yeah, that part we're, I think, very familiar with. So that's part of what they do on Mid-Autumn Festival. And what makes them distinct is they have their own pretty famous guy who again stumbles upon a Bodhi tree while he's just doing work. He's trying to collect firewood. And that tree, because it's magical, soars up into the sky and takes him to the Moon Palace. And that's where Jew Goy lives, except when it's Moon-Autumn Festival. And then his spirit comes back to Earth. And that's when people in Vietnam light lanterns and then offer things like fruit and cakes to welcome his spirit back. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher for a bit, and then we'll be back to continue.
Hello everyone, 我是派老师。今天讲解的是9月11号 Unit 6，Lanterns, Legends and Lively Celebrations, Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival。这个单元是文艺选填的练习题，内容跟越南中秋节有关。说到中秋节，大家会想到小时候听过嫦娥奔月的故事，对不对？在越南传说当中也有奔月的故事，不过却有一些差别。不同文化之间虽然有些类似，却有一些差异，这实在非常有趣。好，我们在主题解说前，老师要提醒大家，答题的时候要先看看选项里面有哪些可以选，大致把这些选项的词性标示出来。虽然有一些字不止一种词性，不过我们根据句子的结构，可以判断这个空格应该要填入什么词性的单字，再根据文意找正确的选项，会比较有效率哦。好，那我们现在就一起来解题吧。请同学看到第一题，文章开头提到许多亚洲国家都会庆祝中秋节，包括台湾、中国、日本、南韩、越南，而越南有别于其他亚洲国家，用非常独特的方式过中秋。好，请同学看到第一题这边 ，The country has a rich 空格 of。第一题空格前有不定冠词后面就应该接上可数名词单数。那我们再用文意筛选，考量前后文连贯，因此第一题正确答案是 A。Heritage 文化遗产，这表示关于中秋节，越南有很多丰富的文化遗产、古老传说和信仰世代相传。好，紧接着我们看到第二题，空格前面是关系代名词 who 代替前面的 a man， 从空格开始应该就是关系子句，告诉我们这位阿贵是什么样的男子。关系子句里应该要有动词，不过不见了，所以第二个空格应该就是关系子句的动词， 而受词就是后面神秘的菩提树。我们应该从选项当中找动词，考量前后文。第二题正确答案应该选 J stumbled upon 偶然发现，表示阿贵在捡柴时偶然发现了一棵神秘的菩提树。再来紧接着请看第三题，指示形容词 this 和 tree 树之间可以放什么词性的字呢？可以加入形容词修饰树。我们从前后文来筛选。第三题正确答案是 E enchanted， 表示有魔法的、神奇的，表示阿贵利用这棵神奇树木的叶子帮人治病，挽救了无数生命。紧接着请看第四题，主词是这棵神奇树 the tree， 空格后面就是主要动词高飞升空，动词应该是紧接着主词的，中间如果要插入其他字，应该只能是副词。副词就是后面的动词高飞升空，所以要在选项里找副词，再用文意确认。所以第四题答案选 F abruptly 突然的，表示有一天这棵树突然飞升到天上的月宫，把阿贵也一起带走。此后越南民众每逢中秋节就会点亮灯笼纪念阿贵，他们相信阿贵会在中秋夜重返人间，大家点灯用水果和糕点祭拜，欢迎他回来。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, let's continue with our lesson for today. We're talking about the Vietnamese Mid-Autumn Festival, and the main character in this legend is Jew Goy. And he was out looking for firewood, and he stumbled across a mystical Bodhi tree. And then one day, the tree quickly or abruptly soared up into the sky to the Moon Palace, and Jew Goy was kind of sucked up there with it. And ever since then, the Vietnamese have commemorated him every Mid-Autumn Festival. They light lanterns, they offer him food, and of course, he's very attracted to the lanterns and the fruit and cakes because he feels welcome, and he comes back, and of course, there's probably lots of good luck to go around for everybody.
Yeah.
And in addition to this traditional myth, lanterns are an essential part of Vietnam's Mid-Autumn Festival. So yes, indeed, we have this story or this myth, and now we have the lanterns, and they are also an important part of this festival. A myth is a story that probably isn't true. We probably don't really have any way to prove it, whether it's true or not. Of course, we always talk about Greek myths or Roman myths or Chinese myths like, what is it, Ho Yi She Er. You know, that's kind of like a Chinese myth. Nobody really knows if that happened or not. Some guy shooting arrows into all the different suns. That's definitely a myth. You know, I don't think that's based in any science.
Well, we get a lot of these myths because most of them occurred before people were actually, familiar with science and things like that. So they usually are the kind of stories that they make up long, long ago in early history. And they help to explain some sort of natural thing they're seeing, like the sun going up and coming down. Their myth to explain this, at least in Greek and Roman mythology, was there was a god who was driving a chariot, pulling the sun up, and then taking the sun down when it was time to go to bed. So this is where some of these myths come from. Usually they involve some sort of magical elements. They're supernatural beings, like gods, who can shoot the sun or fly, things like that. So they're always kind of fun, but they're a big part of certain areas and their culture. So we want to learn them. Most of us in America, at least when we were growing up, we had to take classes in Greek and Roman mythology because that was part of our culture too. So I'm sure that all the kids here know about all the myths in their Chinese history as well.
Certainly, and in ancient times or hundreds of years ago, busy adults who had been focused on the harvest would take lanterns and spend time with their children,
Yay.
creating a festival devoted to kids. So, of course, a long time ago, people worked as farmers in the fields, and they were busy, of course. As you know, farming work can be quite exhausting, and it takes a lot of time. So they were focused on the harvest. They would be spending all their time bringing in all the food from the fields, so that's a lot of work, and they were spending a lot of time doing that, and they would not have a lot of time to spend with their children. And I guess after the harvest came in, then they would have time to see their kids, and they would take lanterns and then spend time with their children. And as a result, this kind of became a children's festival.
Oh, so they call it Children's Day in Vietnam. It says here the holiday is commonly referred to as Children's Day in Vietnam. If you refer to something, it just means that's what you name it, that's what you call it. You point something out. We often have nicknames for people or different names that not everybody's familiar with. So if you refer to somebody, you're mentioning them or you're kind of they're involved with that, whatever you're trying to discuss. Here we're talking about the actual name. So the holiday is referred to as Children's Day, at least in Vietnam. So on the night of the full moon, I love the full moon. The night of the full moon, children participate in a lantern parade featuring an array of delightful lanterns in all shapes and sizes. I love to see kids having a good time in any sort of holiday. They make holidays so much more fun because they're kids, and everything's fun to kids when they're young. So if you're in a parade, you're usually in a long line of people. Sometimes there are special cars or floats, we call them, that are decorated, trucks that pull people maybe who are performing in the back of a truck. That happens in a parade, at least in America. And these, you'll just see tons of kids with their own lanterns. I bet it's beautiful at night because the lanterns, are lit. They're lit up. Now, if you're talking about an array of something, Tom, what does that mean?
It means a display of many things that are very similar in nature. So there'll be all sorts of different lanterns on display. There will be an array of them along the street or maybe on floats or something as they're passing by. And you'll see an array of delightful lanterns in all shapes and sizes. So they'll be very creative with their lanterns, just like people here are very creative with their lanterns for Yuan Xiao Festival. So you can probably see lots of really cool lanterns that people have made, and they'll be in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. They'll be round, they'll be square, they'll be triangular, and they'll be small, big, you name it.
Yeah.
And people believe these lanterns scare away evil spirits and bring good luck. So that's what they believe. If you have these lanterns, they'll keep bad things away, and they'll bring good luck and fortune for you and your family and friends.
Ooh, fortune just means good luck and that you'll be successful in life, which is wonderful. I wanted to mention this word array. Sometimes we'll just use the word range for that instead. So sometimes we'll say, oh, there's a vast array of fabrics down at Digest that you can go and look at. I was just there, and they've got so many different types of fabrics you can choose from. Or, you could say a wide range of fabrics. It's the same idea. So a lot of choices in a similar type of something. So, yeah, I love this time of year. It means the weather's getting cooler, which I love because I hate the summer. But it's also so beautiful. And people go outside here, at least, and barbecue. And so the air smells delicious.
Indeed. That's a local tradition, which I'm
Yes.
sure all of you would love to discuss. But hey, we're focusing on the Vietnamese version of Mid-Autumn Festival, and it mainly centers around lanterns here. Of course, the lanterns kind of gave their Children's Day a start there, and they participate in these parades, and there's an array of lanterns. And, of course, the lanterns scare away evil spirits and bring good luck. And while the rituals of the Mid-Autumn Festival may differ depending on the region, the atmosphere of Vietnam's celebration is similar to that of other countries. Now, as you know, Vietnam is kind of a long and thin country, similar to Chile, but Vietnam, I guess, is smaller than Chile.
Oh, yeah.
And there's, of course, the northern area of Vietnam, which is close to China. And then you've got the kind of long, skinny part in the middle there. And then you go down south there where the Mekong River is and where Saigon is, which is by Cambodia. So, of course, it's very long country, so you're going to have different versions of this celebration in different regions. So yes, indeed, it differs depending on the region. So it kind of depends on where you are, but still, the atmosphere of Vietnam's celebration is similar to that of other countries. Now, the atmosphere here just refers to the general feeling of a place. It does not refer, in this case, to the air that surrounds the earth. That's the atmosphere of the earth. But here we're just talking about the general spirit, the general feeling of a given situation. A mood, a mood.
Yeah, you can go to different restaurants based on what kind of atmosphere they offer. Some are very casual, some are very formal. If you've had a fight at work with a coworker, sometimes the atmosphere is very tense. So it's just the feeling or mood of a particular place that we're talking about. So, like other countries that celebrate Mid-Autumn Festival, it's a time of unity. Families get together at this time of year, which I love. So they come together with their loved ones and they celebrate and cherish the importance of family reunions. A reunion is when, especially family reunions, is when you get all of your kids and aunts and uncles and grandma coming together for a big meal. It's usually for a holiday of some sort. In America, it would be Thanksgiving or Christmas or even Mother's Day. Sometimes everybody gets together, or Father's Day. But for Mid-Autumn Festival, you'll certainly see a lot of families go back to their homes where they grew up and spend time with their parents at the minimum. But usually it's cousins and aunts and uncles and everybody.
Yeah, that's a family reunion. Of course, you can have class reunions if you get together with past classmates to talk about old times. Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's now listen to our Chinese teacher.
紧接着是第5题，不定冠词和单数名词 part 之间应该只能用形容词修饰。我们在选项里找，再以前后文筛选。第5题选 C essential 必要的、不可或缺的，表示除了传统神话阿贵的故事，灯笼也是越南中秋节不可或缺的一部分。再来，我们看第6题，在古代，大人忙完收成就会提着灯笼陪着孩子一起过节。创造一个节日空格孩子，从前后文来了解，这里应该是要表达中秋节在越南是属于孩子的节日，但选项当中有哪一个可以表达这个概念呢？第6题应该选 G devoted to 献给某某人，这就表示在古代大人忙完收成就会提着灯笼陪着孩子一起过节，创造一个专属于孩子的节日。紧接着请看第7题，这和第4题是相同的解题概念，动词应该紧接着主词的，虽然这里的动词是被动语态 is referred to， 但是中间如果要插入其他字，一样应该也只能放副词，副词修饰动词，所以第7题答案选 H commonly， 表示如今这个节日在越南普遍称为儿童节。请看第8题，主词 children 之后并没有动词，而空格之后是介系词 in， 因此我们必须从选项当中找出一个不及物动词，再用前后文文意筛选，所以第8题答案选 I participate， 参加，表示在月圆之夜，孩子会参加灯笼游行，有各种形状、各种大小的美丽灯笼。紧接着请看第9题，空格的前面是助动词 may， 后面是原形动词，应该说后面必须是原形动词，以上下文做筛选，因此第9题答案选 B differ 不一样，有所差别，表示虽然中秋节的习俗可能因为所在地区不同，但越南过节的气氛和其他国家是相似的。好，最后啦，我们看到第10题，第10题空格前的 o 是介系词，后面呢只能加上名词，我们再用上下文做筛选，因此第10题的答案应该选 D unity， 结合成为一体，意思就是说这是团聚一心的时节，那大家与亲人相聚，以庆祝重视家庭团聚的重要性。好，以上就是我们针对这一篇文艺选填所做的中文解题，谢谢大家。
That's it, guys. We're out of time. Thanks for joining us today, and we hope you'll come back soon, where we're going to have even more interesting topics that we always have, actually. And we encourage you to study as hard as you can. The year's just starting. Make it a good year. For English Digest, I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom. Goodbye.
Bye.